All right. This is Module 2. This is about data gathering and analysis with it. Beginning of every video, if you click on this instruction video part right here, this is the part where I talk a little bit about, of course, steps 1 through 5 is it's a template for everything else with it. So please read through this. I'm not going to read through this at all with it. One of the things that I like to do is like I said, I don't like to lecture, but some of these readings that I have put together for you are just things that I've done in industry and how it actually works in industry, what works for me, that I did in industry, I take to the classroom with it. So there isn't a textbook per se to teach a course like this. Like I said, everything that I do is industry related, and I share with you from industry as a project manager, just industry experience with it. In this particular module two, you have to, before we start any project with it, and this goes back to timeline. Gathering data could take 10 days to 2 weeks, up to 6 weeks in gathering the data, depending on the level of the project with it as well with it, and of course the funding of the project as well with it. To demonstrate this ability to gather data, after we gather the data, we analyze the data, we document the project, we identify who are the stakeholders in this with it. In this case with it, what I like to do is to have you practice a variety of techniques. Get out to the field and interview people that are using this to come up with basically a persona, basically with it. And when you start to interview people, like the analogy I'm going to do here is that you're going to create like a food delivery app or a responsive website that's for food delivery with it, right? So who are the demographics that you need to identify with this? It could be college students, it could be professionals, it could be single people, etc., 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 right? So once we establish a persona, again, personas are fictional. There's no real person on there. So we don't have to. You have to. There is no actual physical name that ties to a real persona with it as well. So I want you to read through these 5 steps that I kind of laid out with it. Just read through it. Just keep in mind after you read it. Like I said, it's put this in the back burner with it as well. And then the important part is this last, after the 5 steps. Again, I don't want to bore your brain to it, but develop some elicitation method with it. Interview, survey, focus group, document the analysis, observation. These are just get out there and just grab a handful of people out there with it. It could be in the mall, it could be just conducting a survey. Hey, we're putting together an app. What's your take on a food delivery app or a website with it? What are you looking for? What type of food? What would you be? What's convenient? That you put together a series of questions and you interact with people and what they do in the with it as well. Like I said, keep it less than 20 minutes with it. That's my rule of thumb with it. There has to be some incentive for these folks to actually get out there, and maybe you get 2 movie tickets, something like that with it, right? So it's worth their time, half an hour to spend to talk to you with it as well. So that's something to think about when you start to do this with it. Conduct a illicit session with it, maybe open forum, discussion boards, just being active listeners with it as well. Just something, and something that you can record and collect data with it as well. Again, once you collect the data, what you're looking for is patterns and trends to look at the trends in the data with it. Hey, here's the demographics that we're looking at. These are the single parent, single mom, single dad that's doing this, or a senior citizen that retired. You look at age, you look at woman, man, you look at the demographics that spread out, working people, what time they get home from work, that type of stuff with it. So when you look at data, and you have to look at patterns of the data with it as well. With it, when would they use this app? During lunch? Would they look at this app in the evening, ordering their dinner, etc., with it? So it's one of those things that we really want to. This is again It's very preliminary. Document, document, document. Like I said, you have to, once you document everything with it, you prioritize your document with it, and then you have to validate your stakeholders to present the draft requirement document to the stakeholder, meaning who's actually paying for this app with it. Is it a particular food vendor? Is it a restaurant? Is it a church? That type of stuff with it. Who are the key stakeholders that's in here? They're the ones, and you need to collect their data with it as well. So you listen is a very, very, very important set of skills. Proactive listening is very important. All right. So these are soft skills that like I said, you have to go out there and you have to listen and collect data and write with it. And again, I was always, when I was growing up with it, share you a story that my mom always tells me, that God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, which means that we need to be listening twice as much as when we speak. So I learned that at a very young age with it, and it works. It will work most of the time with it. If you keep that rule thumb in hand with it as well. So I want to point out, after you read those 5 steps with it, here are some important considerations you need to take a look at. Not one size fit all. Just keep that first bullet with it. You have to tailor your 5 approach based on the needs, right? So not every project you would actually apply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with it. There are some projects that you need to elaborate in step number 2, number 3, and there are some steps that they're omitted with it. So again, there's no gauge in here. It's very subjective in here with it, right? So play it by ear with it. The key thing is maintain neutrality with it. You're approaching this, you don't cater to a particular group of restaurants. All right, let's say you can't cater to Mexican food. You can't cater to Japanese food. So you have to keep this. If you're building this app, it applies across from everybody with it as well. So keep the hard part in anything is to be biased. Is my point with it. Facilitate collaboration. Again, communicate, communicate, communicate. Network with it. So you have to keep people exchanging, because whether they're the client, whether they're the stakeholder, keep in mind and listen to them as well with it as well. The other part about this documentation, please document your notes, everything that you do, and we'll keep it going with it. Again, my next step I'm going to talk to you about is, like I said, the scenario is you're basically designing a team for a food delivery, responsive website or an app, and your job is to go out there to do the underlying work, behind the scene work, before we get back and do the design with it as well. So this is all behind the scene stuff, that before we get into the technical side of this with it. So here we go. So there will be a couple of tasks that we're going to do in here. You're going to create a persona. I'm going to talk to you about persona. There's a link right here you're going to link to, and you're going to I'm going to link you to. Now keep in mind, okay, I wrote this for other courses as well. It could be for IMED2313, it could be for an UX UI design class 1373. In this, you can apply that same content for this particular assignment as well. Okay, so the first step is you got to create a Miro account with it. So I'm gonna give you, like I said, here's a video instruction, and we're going here, and I'm gonna ask you to click on the Miro link right here, and it takes you to it, and just create a free. It's free. Miro is a board, big board account with it. So go in and just open up the board and create an account. Okay, and the first thing is we're going to collect data. Is we're going to create a fictional persona with it. So again, fictional persona. What does that mean? Something that's not real. But for grading purpose, for a classroom environment with it, I need for you to put your name in parentheses after the fictional name. All right, so I gave you an example with it. So follow these instructions that I'm about to go here with it. After you create the account, copy and paste your board, your Miro, your Miro account with it. So I need for you just take a big picture that you logged onto the Miro account with it in our class with it. Create the persona. with it. So you're going to take 2 screenshots with it. Again, make sure you have your full. I repeat it twice here on purpose. So, for example, my fictional name is of the persona is Henry Golding, and I put in parentheses this is my name, so I can actually grade and know who you are with it, right? Again, read these bullets for me with it. And after you, here's an example of a persona. So I have a fictional lady. Her name is Savannah Rodriguez, and this is her personal background, her user environment, her end goal, scenario, psychographics with it, professional background. This is just an example of a persona with it as well. What you're going to do is you're going to create the same persona, make something up with it. Again, you're going to take a picture, and I have this in the video, a big picture of where you're at using your snipping tool, and it helps if you can circle where your persona is on that canvas board in Mural, and then I want you to take a close-up shot of your persona card as well. So I demonstrated that in the video of the instruction as well. Okay, so this will conclude Module 2 for me. If you can do that, it will be great. Thank you.